overall, it just kind of helps people to regulate their nervous system, to, take stressful situations and kind of alchemize them in their body to be able to handle them from a place of choice and a place of control.
How can I make that happen?
How can we tell the future?
Yeah.
We can't tell the future.
All right.
But we just have to have peace that what's meant for us is going to be there for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I fundamentally believe that to my very being. It's just,
don't get this house. And the kid's like, I don't care what you say. I'm going to get this house because I love it.
yeah.
And, 5 years later, they've redone the place. It looks awesome.
Yeah. I guess I just always try to invite people to remember how they feel.
Welcome, everybody. I am Kamil, Sarji, your host today of Just 2 Minutes. And I have Ashley here. Ashley, you want to tell us about yourself?
I'm Ashley Sarji.
Cool last name, by the way.
Same as yours, because I'm your wife. And I love you. I am the owner of Haven and Harmony, which is a business that works to combine real estate and wellness. And I do that as a real estate agent with Gold Door Realty. And I incorporate wellness and empowerment techniques to try to make home buying and selling a little less stressful for people.
Which is very unique because real estate is a lot of stress. Buyers are like, oh yeah, I want to buy a house. Sellers want to sell their house, but they don't know what's involved. But
right, there are a lot of steps and it can be really, really stressful. So I am a certified yoga instructor, also certified breathwork coach and facilitator, and I try to help people incorporate those types of techniques into their process while they're going through home buying and selling to make it a little less stressful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Ashley, you're here today because the show is called Just 2 Minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And just for the viewers, if you're seeing this and you're not listening, if you're listening, you won't know what's going on. But don't worry, we are still in Gold Door headquarters. The room I'm in is Ashley's office.
Yeah.
So
Thank you for coming into my space.
Yeah. If it wasn't in Gold Door, I wouldn't have you come to my place.
The pink couch, though. This is my character. This is a representative of me
color.
and my fuchsia. This is the color for my business, my main color for my business, and
And that's why I picked the timer today.
It matches
purple color. And the timer is now. Ashley, if you were to be a flower, what kind of flower would you be?
That's a really good question. What kind of flower would I be? So,
or at least what color are you envisioning of the flower?
Yeah, I really connect with Queen Anne's lace. It's kind of a weird one, but it can grow. I'm from West Virginia, and it grows abundantly in my home state, like on the side of the road. It feels like it can grow everywhere, and it's just always beautiful. Even though it's not my favorite color, because it's white, but it looks like lace, and it's just always feels fancy, even though it's right by the side of the road.
All right.
I love it.
I'll have to look that one up.
I have it tattooed on me, actually.
All right.
I won't show everybody.
What's your favorite arcade game?
Arcade game? At an arcade, I prefer like the competitive games, like where two people can play at the same time. I like skee ball. I could do that one. Okay. I like basketball. And then I'll play like shooting games or something, as long as more than one person are playing at the arcade.
Okay. If you were to have a cup of tea with anybody in the world and people that lived in this world in the past, so they don't have to be alive.
Could be living.
Who would it be?
Well, the first person that popped into my mind is my mom, because I don't get to see her very often because she lives far away.
What kind of tea would you have with her?
Any kind of tea. Would be lovely.
Wow. What do you think of those questions, Ash?
Those are good.
Is it okay to call you Ash?
Yeah, of course.
I'm trying to be professional here.
You're my husband. You don't have to be professional.
I have to be professional for the audience.
Oh.
They're watching this. They're like, this is a very professional man doing his professional. Just
You do look really professional. And I enjoy your sock choice today too. You have really good sock game. I do want to say that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, enough
And
talking
you do,
about me.
and no, you do that on your own too. That's the other thing that people should know about you, is that you dress yourself, and you are very, like, a lot of wives dress their husbands. You dress yourself, and you are very stylish. So
Yeah,
I think that's important for people to know.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. So Ash, very exciting. You're combining wellness, yoga, breath work, all these different things into real estate because, like, how did you create this? Did you see a need for it in the market, or being an agent? And
so I got my yoga certification last year, and I also found breathwork to be really interesting. And just for my own personal practice, both yoga and breathwork. And they've both made a tremendous difference in my own well-being. And as I've shared those practices with other people, those practices have made a difference in the lives of others. And ultimately, I think my life purpose, I think, is, I don't know exactly what it is yet, like what I'm supposed to be doing.
I don't think anybody knows
so like back up
what
for
their
no,
purpose
but I
on
mean
life is.
back up for a second. We should also say that, like, I was at Fidelity Investments in a financial services career for nearly 20 years.
Okay.
And so last year I decided to not even last year. It's been within 6 months, really, that I decided to leave my corporate career, like jump off a cliff and start a real estate career, full-time real estate career, and incorporate these yoga and breathwork practices into it. So we're still in, like, very, very young phase of this business as a whole. And I've tried hard, as I'm kind of creating the business, to validate, whether or not that need exists for people. And I have worked with my clients to kind of validate the concepts of this idea, to incorporating yoga and breathwork into buying and selling.
Wow.
And it does seem to be resonating with people. And so I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah.
And hope that, I can continue to call in the type of clients that I want to work with, which, hopefully are people who are open to, receiving these kinds of techniques, and as they work through their process. And, I think overall it just kind of helps people to regulate their nervous system, to, take stressful situations and kind of alchemize them in their body, to be able to handle them from a place of choice and a place of control, not over the outcome necessarily, but over control over what they're able to control, which is themselves ultimately.
So let me ask you this. You've worked with buyers and sellers.
Yes.
As far as the emotion, because it's a lot of emotion. What do you, let's talk about buyers.
Yeah.
What do you think buyers both don't know what they're getting into?
Right.
So let's talk about buyers. Like, how do you think that happens as far as, like, the stress that's about to happen? Like, how
let's talk about the buying process as a whole, right?
Okay,
So let's just start, like, at the very beginning, right? You decide that you want to buy a house, and you're like, okay, I really want to buy a house. Okay, right off the bat, that's like, it's a big investment, and anything having to do with money has a big emotional impact on a human being, right? You enter into the process, you work with a lender, you get pre-qualified for a house, so you know what you're qualified for. You walk into, you find a real estate agent, you hope that it's somebody that you like, but you're not really sure because all you've seen is, maybe some social media stuff, or maybe you met them at a networking event, or maybe your friend or a friend of a friend. You don't really know who the person is. What?
Or they watch the show.
Or they watch, right. Hi. I'll help you. So you're not really sure about the person. So you're trying to get to know the person that you're working with. You want to choose somebody who's going to act in your best interest and protect this emotional financial investment. you want somebody who's going to represent you well in the transaction, but you're not sure because you don't know the person, right? So then you start hanging out with them because you go to open houses, or you go to, you hopefully find an agent that goes with you to all of your showings, right? I know that's not always the case, so we'll just say that out loud. I'll always go with you. Who's going to be there and who's going to support you through the process. So you find houses that you like, you start to narrow it down. This is a house that I could see myself in. And then you have to put an offer in, and it might be competitive. So there might be, multiple offers on the table for a house that you really love, and you've already envisioned yourself there. So it's a really big emotional thing because you've already envisioned yourself there. Then you might get it, you might not, so how do you work through that experience and what I tell the buyers that I work with is, we're not going to be connected to the outcome. Whatever happens, the house that's meant for you is going to be there for you, and we're going to find that house. It might not be this one. I know you can see yourself here. Let's, and then we deal with it as it comes. And we work through it with all the techniques that I have in my toolkit.
So I feel like some buyers, they see houses and they're like, oh my gosh, this is the one. I love this. I want to put an offer in. And then they don't get the house and they're crushed. And they just give up on their goal.
Yeah.
How do you work with that?
It can be really challenging. It's just a reminder that the one house that they've envisioned themselves in is not the only house that's there for them. And the house that is there for them will still be there for them. We just have to find it. So we go back to the drawing board and we just make sure that we're refining their search, that we're, and getting in as many houses as we can, to make sure that they're seeing everything, because they might think that they love everything about this one particular house and it's the house that's meant for them. But there's something else out there that's probably an even better fit. It's just, we have to get out there and see it. Yeah.
It's crazy. Too bad you can't look in the future or show them their future.
Right.
This is what your life looks like in 10 years in this house.
Right.
That would be cool.
Yeah, it would be really cool.
How can we make that happen?
How can we tell the future?
Yeah.
We can't tell the future.
All right.
But we just have to have peace that what's meant for us is going to be there for us. And that's, I fundamentally believe that to my very being. It's just if it's meant for you, it's going to be there for you. It's just a matter of matching up the time and, doing the next best thing to advance toward that goal,
Okay, so
it's hard to be patient though, but we've seen it. People get to the house that's meant for them, and ultimately they're over the moon happy, right? That's how it always works.
Which brings me to my next thing.
Yes.
They fall in love with the house. They get the offer.
Get it.
Yes.
Yay.
Awesome. Now it's the inspection.
Right. More stress.
Parents.
Different kinds of
or
stress.
other influencers who are telling them this is a bad idea. Oh my gosh. So time out. This is their dream home. This is I want this house. I see a future in this. And then all of a sudden, they're
they get the inspection back and there's a million things on the list.
Yeah, and they doubt the house.
Right.
Yeah, every house is a million things.
Right. Every house. So that's where I was headed with
the outlet's missing a screw.
Right.
That's on the report.
But that's a thing that people should always keep in mind.
Yeah.
Is that every inspection has a million things. So just because it has a million things does not mean that the house is broken. I just want to make sure that you're connecting with this. Watch this. Just because the inspection has a million things on it doesn't mean that it's a broken house. Every inspection has a million things.
Yeah. And trust your agent when they say, hey, these are big items you should worry about. And the agent's going to
negotiate.
Yeah.
Then the agent takes that inspection list and says, these are the things that really matter. Let's ask the seller if they'll fix these things and see if they're receptive to it. And then you leave it to your agent to, again, the reason you pick your agent is so that they're going to represent you well in those conversations and that they're going to look out for your best interest in those conversations.
So what's up with the doubt? Let's say they passed the inspection, everything's great. And now they're doubting they should have got this house. What's up with that?
Yeah.
Why? Some people, not everybody. Like what?
So after they get the inspection and they're like, there's a million things on this, and they've like let like lots of family members and friends have opinions. That often happens too. And I mean, I know that that's an important part of the process, but I really advise against like letting too many people in on the information, because the more opinions you have, the more confusion it creates in your mind.
And I know like parents going with their kids to see the house. I know the parents want the best for them and are afraid and nervous. They are emotional too.
Right.
And they're going to be like, oh no, don't get this house. I've seen that before. Like parents are like, don't get this house. And they're like, oh yeah, I don't want it. And they get something else. Or don't get this house. And the kid's like, I don't care what you say. I'm going to get this house because I love it.
Yeah.
And, 5 years later, they've redone the place. It looks awesome.
Yeah. And I just just always try to invite people to remember how they feel, when they are in the house, like why they chose it in the first place. And if they were not aligned, if they were in that house and they were like, I just need a house, that's, and maybe it's not the right house for them, but if they walked into that house and they were like, oh, this feels like home to me. This feels like a serene environment that I can live my life in and be really happy. And they'd envision themselves in that. And now they're letting the inspection, or not even the inspection, other people's opinions influence that peace, that space created in them. Then, I just kind of invite them to remember how they felt, and hopefully make the decision that's right for them. Because ultimately, it doesn't matter to me. I'll keep looking at houses with you. We'll keep at this for as long as it takes. But it's important you are able to advocate for yourself enough to hold on to wherever your peace lies. So, and if it's in this house, then what do we have to do to make sure we hold on to that?
Yeah, I imagine it's tough for some people because they're like super connected emotionally with the whole process.
Yeah. But then again, like if it's not the right house, or if, your relatives are making good points, or, whatever, and it's time to walk away, I help you do that too. Like, and it's ultimately whatever the right thing is for you. Coming back to yourself and regulating your own nervous system using the techniques, yoga and breathwork techniques that I have and that I make available to my clients, so that you can choose from a calm place and not a super emotional place. It's from, how do I feel in my being, in my gut, in my heart, aligned through and through. I'm making these decisions as we're moving through.
Yeah. So that's the buyer side. I mean, besides like other things. So let's talk about sellers now. Like selling a home. How's that?
Well, selling becomes really emotional because you're inviting somebody else to come into your house, and then they're going to pick it apart. And it's been your place for however long you've lived there. And now these other people want to make changes to it, or they don't think it's perfect, or they're like criticizing your baby, You mean
agents that are going there to give them advice on what they...
No, if you've listened... actually, we could start at the beginning.
Okay, yes. Let's start.
You decide you want to sell your house. Okay, right off the bat, that's a very emotional thing, because who knows how long you've been there. Like, even if you've only been there for a year, it's been your home. But, you've been there for 30 years and you're maybe downsizing, or the house is too big for you, or, you've decided to change because you live in a Cape and you need to move to a ranch because it needs to be all one level, because you want to age at home. That's a really emotional decision because it's where you've raised your family, perhaps. It's where it's been your place. Your heart has been invested there for as long as you've been there. So that's really emotional. You pick an agent that you want, again, to be able to hold your hand and support you through that process and make you feel confident in the decision that you're making ultimately, again, because you have a change in life or lifestyle or, whatever the circumstances are. So you need somebody that's going to be right there next to you and really be able to hold you in that time. So that's one thing. But then once you get it on the market, once you take all the steps. So my process is I invite a stager to come in for listings to actually go through the house and just kind of think about it as a third party who's going to look at it through the eyes of potential buyers and know what buyers want in the house and help people get organized in their space. So she takes a couple hours, and that's part of the service that I provide, is working with a stager to do that.
That's very smart, by the way, because it's like, yeah.
I'm all about partnerships. I will say I have some really, really great business partners that I work with throughout the process to kind of support the whole process end to end with my clients. So it's working with other people is a really important part of my business.
Yeah.
We get through the staging, we get everything kind of cleared out, so everything looks really good for potential buyers. And then they come in and they are not seeing they're not seeing as the seller, your heart anymore. They're seeing a home that they can envision themselves in. That's the goal. So once we get through that part, we get the house listed, which is already super emotional. Then you've got people coming in to your space, new energy coming into your space, and they're potentially picking apart, your baby. They're saying it needs paint, or they're saying, whatever is broken, or, things that you loved about the house that they don't love so much. You've got a weird old feature in the bathroom that you adore and the reason why you love the house, but they don't like it and they want to redo the bathroom and they want it to be all sleek and brand new, stuff like that. You can't take that stuff personally, because you've already made the decision to relocate and move your home elsewhere. So,
another thing that happens is, what do you say if a seller tells you, oh, they're going to do an inspection on their home? What do you tell, if they're like, oh, can I stay and watch? What? What's funny?
It's
Go
just
ahead.
a way to get your feelings hurt. Once you've made the decision to move your home elsewhere, to leave the space that you're in and sell it to somebody else, you are better off not being there for the things that happen in that house for that time, for that 30, 45, 60 days, however long it takes to get the house completely sold and transferred the ownership. You're better off just removing yourself from that situation, because it's not going to feel good. Yeah. Because that's not your home anymore. Your home is somewhere else. So let's focus on being in the elsewhere.
And really, that's why they hired you. Yeah. Just to be the buffer in between.
Right. And we'll talk
out of it.
Right. We'll talk about all the things that the inspector finds. And I'm so transparent about all of that stuff, but it doesn't feel good to hear it. Ever.
What do you think about buyers coming into sellers' homes with bad energy? Do you think there's anything with that, or does the energy, because I don't know anything about that stuff. But what do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a Reiki practitioner, but I do definitely believe in energy. And I always recommend, so I always try to clear the space before an open house so that I have ways
clear
of
the
doing
space
that.
as far as move things around?
No, clear the energy.
Okay.
So I it's like opening the windows, letting all the light in. Some people are sensitive to smells and stuff, but I do believe in, saging or energetically.
So you do that before open house just to get everything.
I have some crystals that I use, things like that. I think that are helpful.
Crystals? Do you keep them in different parts of the house?
No, I don't keep them in other people's houses. I bring them with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
keep them in my house. You know this.
Yeah. But these crystals you bring to the open house and then you bring them back with you?
Yeah.
You don't forget any there? In a drawer, a random drawer?
No. I mean, again, I'm not a Reiki practitioner. I have a practice that I use to...
You want to get good energy in there.
I do, yeah. And I also, I think it's been pretty helpful because, again, people want to be able to envision themselves in the space. So if they come into your space and they're feeling, and your house feels too much like it still belongs to you, it's still with you as the seller, I think it's harder to sell. So if we can clear that energy, I think it's helpful for other people to be able to envision themselves there. That's my thought process. But
okay. So we talked about emotion of buyers and sellers.
Mhm.
Now let's talk about what you do. So you mentioned yoga and breath work.
Mhm.
So I've never done yoga before. Again, until you had your first open class to the public, I went, but I still do
And
it.
now you do yoga every week.
Yeah. So I know about yoga. What's breath work? Well, tell me about that. What?
You know about breathwork.
I know, but the audience, you got to tell them.
I know, but you did breathwork. You've done it. You've done
Oh my
it
gosh, you want me to
multiple
tell my
times.
experience?
I would love for you to tell your experience.
Okay. Yeah, so I thought breath work was like, hey, let's breathe together. Let's get the stress out. But no, I've never done anything like this in my life. Like hypnosis with breathing, and like my fingers, my hands were tingling, my head was tingling. I was in another universe, super emotional. And yeah, this is the kind of thing that I think like top executives go away on retreats
absolutely.
to. Yeah.
Yeah. So I use the 9D breathwork modality. That's the modality that I'm trained in. And it is, as you describe, there are elements of hypnosis and binaural beats and subliminal messaging in it. And so to kind of map the experience out for everybody, it's generally, the experience is about 2 hours end to end. So usually I do one-on-one journeys as well as group journeys. And
one-on-one's like ultimate.
Yeah.
Because I can't even imagine what a group setting would be like.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I would let myself go that much.
Right. Yeah. So there's a good distinction. I think there's value in both, but for sure the one-on-one journey, I'll just describe that. So I kind of open up the space. We have a little discussion. We talk about intentions for the session, kind of what's been going on in a person's life. I have a plethora of journeys that I can choose from. I think there are 30 different
what was the one
journeys. Now you did abundance,
okay,
which is directly related to financial success in business.
So real estate agents should do that.
The abundance one.
I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
But you have other programs too, and I'm sure you use.
Yeah. There are all kinds of journeys, from letting go of fear and anxiety. There's abundance. There's a life abundance journey there, which has to do with kind of personal finance, and then a business abundance, which is the one that you did. There's also grief journey. There's down regulation for improved sleep, and there's up regulation. They all kind of employ. There are 30 different journeys.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, we can choose from depending on what's going on in your life. So we have a little discussion. Usually, I'll talk to the person beforehand about what's going on when I do a one-on-one, and I try to customize and kind of tailor the experience as much as possible. And so then they come in and we set intentions. We kind of talk about what's their intentions for the journey, and then we do a little bit of movement together, and then they lay down, and I create a cozy little bed. We have blankets and pillows, and whatever makes people comfortable. There's a blindfold, which kind of goes around a person's head, or I have a weighted. Some people that makes them a little claustrophobic. So I also have a weighted lavender and buckwheat mask that's just like a little weight over your eyes, because you want to have your eyes closed for the journey. And then you put on headphones and you listen to it's music and kind of guided, what is like a guided meditation, is kind of how it feels. And you follow the cue of the breather, with my support. I'm right there, with you as you kind of go through, just making sure that you're able to maintain the breathing pattern. And the breathing pattern is dependent on what you're trying to accomplish. So it could be a variety of different things. But so it's a hyperventilation, and there are also some There's breath holding that happens in some of the journeys as well. And they all have a very specific purpose that we go through. We talk through before you start the whole thing. And then generally there's also a scream at some point in the journey, which feels really cathartic, right? There's a breath hold that happens usually before the scream happens. So it's a breath hold that can happen for a period of time. And you hold until you can't hold anymore. And then you scream. And the scream is always extremely cathartic for people to kind of, it's a physical manifestation of letting whatever you're holding on to go.
Yeah.
And it can be a really beautiful experience that
you make it feel very safe.
Good.
Because it's a vulnerable.
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm right there the whole time. I try not to interfere too much, but definitely I make my presence known at several points throughout the journey, just to so you know that you're being supported and that I'm right there with you. And I take a lot of pride in how I hold space for other people and creating a space that makes people feel safe in whatever expression comes through, because it can be a variety of things. And people will, there's kind of a variety of emotions that can happen in those, like little, deep belly laughter and, and tears can come through as well. And there's some vulnerability, and holding space is something that I treasure. I like to do for people.
I highly recommend it. So can we talk about how you integrated this? Do you have products, or do you have a combination of things that you offer someone who's buying or selling a home?
Mm-hmm. So I've created course content called
Course?
Yeah. So it's content that's available online through an online portal for members of this experience. Is Haven and Harmony Home Ownership. And essentially, clients who choose to work with me get access to this content, and it involves wellness content, so yoga flows, breath work, exercises, and for the time that you're working with me, you get unlimited access to that program. And then there are also modules that you can work through as well related to homeownership organization, the steps in the process, lots of content that's kind of helpful along the way as you're going through your journey.
So if they want to go the journey of buying a home, or
buying
journey
and
of
selling,
life,
buying and selling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's this particular program that I offer.
That's cool. Okay. So you offer that and provide them with all this education and support from you. How about yoga?
Mm-hmm. So there are yoga flows as part in the portal that you have access to as a client of mine. So you can take them online at your leisure. I also teach classes here right behind the Gold Door office in my little studio. And that live class schedule is available on my website as well.
That's cool. So you have that package. It's the same package for everybody, or is it unique?
So when you enter into the home buying or selling process with me, so listing a home or buying a home or both, I give you access to the portal where you can access unlimited content and the yoga and education content. And then, so that's specific to that program. And then any live classes or breath work or any kind of one-on-one can be scheduled online through my website. Was that your question?
Awesome. Yeah, just I was wondering if you had different layers, not layers, but levels. Sorry,
levels. Yeah, to working with me.
Yeah, or that product, or is this one product that you have?
Yeah, all the details are available on my website, haven-harmony.com. Folks can go there to take a look at my product offering, and also to look up live class schedules or membership as well for this studio.
Awesome. Well, Ashley, this is great information. Very good. It's cool that you have this unique real estate wellness thing going. That's pretty cool.
Thanks.
How can people find you besides your website? I mean, you can say that again.
Yeah, haven-harmony.com. You can find information about me and all the aspects of what I do. Also on social media, Haven Harmony Studio, on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and Spotify, I think, as well. I put all my playlists.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, for all my classes. So for people to follow. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Oh, yeah. And you can follow me too. You follow us.
Us. Gold Door Realty.
Gold Door Realty. Oh, I meant Gold Door Realty. Yes.
Gold Door Realty.
But then you can also follow us separately, Ashley and me and
as an individual, right?
Because you can follow us.
I'm also a human being. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you
for letting me use your office, and this is very nice. All right. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you, Kamil.
My agent's got a squad, we all in the zone. In-house help, so they ain't doing it alone. They focus on clients, negotiating win, while the back end's handle, man, that's how we spin. I hand them business, watch them all climb.